MRN Crew Call is brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MRN Crew Call, the program that takes you behind the scenes. This week, as we get set to return to racing May 17th at Darlington, we're going to chat with the track president. Kerry Tharp will join us to tell us about all the preparations around returning to racing on track at Darlington. That's next on Crew Call.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Kerry Tharp joins us from Darlington Raceway, the track president, as they get ready to get NASCAR back on track on May 17th. I guess, Kerry, that seems like a freight train headed your way right about now, doesn't it?
Well, I tell you, 3 races in 4 days, Woody. We're very, very excited here at Darlington, very honored, very humbled that we have this opportunity to bring not only NASCAR racing back, but the live sporting events back. And so that's a pretty cool deal and a great opportunity, a big responsibility because we have to get it right. But when we got the call here last week officially that this was going to happen, we're very excited. It puts an extra spring in your step. You know, really, everybody's been on pause for about 7 or 8 weeks. And I think this was something that everybody needed, and certainly we're excited about it.
Logistically, this is going to be a little different with a lot of extra safety measures, health measures involved, working with state and local officials to make this come off. What kinds of things, we've heard already that there will not be fans allowed, but what kinds of things will look different to the competitors that come into the track?
Well, you know, and you've been here many times, when you come to Darlington Labor Day weekend, you got 60,000 people on your property, and biggest part of them are having a big time. So, you know, obviously we won't be having that, but it's really not the time for that. This is getting the sport back. This is getting live sports back. And this is the step that needs to be taken. So we're working very closely with the racing operations team, the medical team. Our first and foremost responsibility is to make sure that we have a safe environment here for the competitors for those 3 races. And so there are a lot of screening processes that go into place, even pre-screening processes that have to go into place before they even arrive on our property. And then they'll be screened before they go into the infield and that type of thing. There'll be social distancing like you've never seen it before.
I was going to say, in the garage, how do you do that? Because, man, there's a lot of people going to be, you know, like I think 16 participants per team, right?
Right, but we've got a plan on how to spread these men and women out, spread out the officials. Everybody will wear a mask, and the personal protection equipment is in full force here. And so we kind of looked at the infield as our entire garage, you know, not just the Cup garage and the Xfinity garage, but the entire infield. And we're using that entire footprint to try to spread everybody out. It certainly is different than what we're used to doing, but we feel like we've got a good plan in place and we're ready to execute it.
I think right now, Kerry, if you had the guys come out there and do a foot race, everybody would be excited about it, wouldn't they? I mean, like you say, we've been on pause for 7 or 8 weeks. I think everybody is hungry for some real racing.
There's no question. People are excited to get back to the racetrack. What's going to be very, very exciting too, no practice, no qualifying. They're going to drop that green flag, and they're going to come out of turn 1 over to turn 2 at Darlington, and it's going to be wild, I think. So, but yeah, you know, these guys haven't been behind the wheel of a race car for 6-7 weeks. Now I know they've done the iRacing, and I think NASCAR and everybody's done a super job with that. This is the real deal. I think those hands are going to be pretty firm on the steering wheel come race time here at Darlington for those 3 events. And so I know the competitive juices are flowing. I've already texted and been in communication with several drivers and crew chiefs, and they're very, very excited about coming to Darlington.
Now, the schedule is going to be a little bit different than what we're used to. A Sunday afternoon start for May 17th at 3:30. Then you move to Tuesday night with the Xfinity Series at 8 o'clock, and then follow that right back up Wednesday the 20th with another nighttime race, a 7:30 start.
Right.
Obviously, you have the lights there, and you can get this part of it done. But, man, the 3 races in 4 days is just going to be jam-packed for you guys, isn't it?
Well, it really is. It's kind of like the old days, I guess, before I got here when we had the events in the spring and then the event, obviously, at Labor Day. So, we've got a little bit of head start on this. We kind of knew this was going to happen probably 10, 12 days ago, so we started our planning. We're going to make sure the property looks first rate, even though we won't have 60,000 people on it. You still are going to have the drivers, the teams, the crew chiefs, the officials, NASCAR leadership. You're going to have Fox, MRN. They're all going to be on our property. So we want our property to look first class, and it will be. And we want everything inside that bowl to look first class, and it will be. So it's going to take some work, but we're up for it.
Now, how will the logistics of it work? I've heard things from drivers are kind of quarantine themselves. They would kind of hang out in the driver-owner lot before, but now they'll be a little bit separated from each other, right?
Well, they will, and they'll be bringing in, I think most of them are bringing their buses in, and we'll get those in here on Saturday of race week, Saturday before Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And really, when they're not, when I was getting ready to say when they're not practicing, they can go over there, but they'll probably be spending the majority of their time probably coming into the garage, though, talking to their teams, but also spending time. And we're really spreading out those motorhomes. It's not going to be jammed in there like you typically see on a race weekend. We're using a lot of our infield to accommodate this and make sure that people are spread out and properly the social distance is in a good order.
I mean, it does give you a little bit of extra freedom because on a typical race weekend, as you say, with 60,000 people, every square inch on the property counts. But now you'll have some room to kind of put this one here, that one there, this team there,
right.
That one over there.
And we have that luxury inside in the infield. We park about 900 campers for a typical race weekend and have about another 400 or 500 tent campers that come in there. So we got a pretty good space inside our bowl there, so to speak. And you also got to remember we got 2 garages, the Xfinity garage and then the Cup garage, so we can utilize that footprint as well. We've got several lots that have the necessary hookups that you need to have. And so we had a really good visit last week with competition people, and they took a look at it, and I think they feel pretty good about the plan.
With that being said, you guys are going to be the first ones to try this under the new reality, I guess you could call it, in terms of getting back to racing and bringing sports in general back. What are some of the challenges you're going to have to make this thing work and work right? Obviously, you've got some time to prepare and plan, but there are always things that happen that come up that are unexpected.
Well, we feel like we do have a solid plan, but this plan has never been executed before. It's not like you can dust one off and say, hey, we ran that play last week. It got us 20 yards and a touchdown. So we haven't run this play before, right?
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a little bit of trial by error. So there are going to be some things, I'm sure, that we don't get exactly right. We're going to adjust on the fly. We've got good people in place. We've got great support of the local law enforcement and the security, and also of McLeod Regional Health Systems. We'll be here operating our care center. We'll have all the necessary people from an infrastructure standpoint here. So, getting the competitors inside the garage is going to be, I think, task number one. We've got a pretty good plan. I think it's going to be kind of lined up like you're going through a fast food service line, 5 or 6 deep. So we feel good about that. And, we're praying for great weather and just hoping to have a great weekend.
Now, you mentioned no practice and qualifying, but will they get any shakedown time at all, like a lap on the track, or just absolutely nothing before the green flag drops?
Now, it's my understanding nothing until the green flag drops. So when those cars come out of North Carolina and unload off those haulers, they better be pretty well buttoned up, so there's not going to be any any time to go out and make a lap. I'm sure there'll be a competition caution to help check tire wear and also maybe some other adjustments and those types of things. But it's going to be interesting, Woody, and you've been here many times. This isn't the easiest track to come back on, and but I think it's also the most iconic track that we can come back on, and so that's pretty cool.
Now, without any qualifying, do you know yet how the starting lineup will be set, or is that still to be determined?
I think competition will still be determining that. I don't know if it's going to be where they are now in owners' points. That possibly could be the way that they do it, at least this first race. After that, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but we'll leave that up to competition and see how that all plays out.
Now, you mentioned the screening, and I had heard a lot of people say it's not the testing like you're talking about in the hospital. It's more of a temperature and symptoms type check. Is that correct? Exactly.
And so there'll be a pre-screening questionnaire that everyone on the roster has to complete. The medical folks will have it on their iPads. And if you're not on that questionnaire, then you're not coming in. You know, this is buttoned up. This is strict. And you got to be diligent. You got to be compliant. And if you show any symptoms at all, then you'll go to a holding area where you'll be further examined. And if you're symptomatic, then, you know, you won't be able to compete and come inside. Because like I said, the last thing we want to do is, you know, create an unsafe environment for our competitors and for this community, quite frankly. So that's objective number one. And, you know, that's what we aim to do.
Kerry, how many people do you have helping you put this together? What's a typical race weekend like, and will you have more or less people this time around?
Well, we'll probably have less because you're not dealing with 60,000 people on your property. We'll have less, you know, you don't need that type of workforce, but we still have, a good number of folks here helping us. And I said, we've got great support from local law enforcement, Darlington County, City of Darlington, everybody in the state Highway Patrol SLED, and everybody, and then all the fire and safety people that we need, and that type of thing. So, it'll be just a typical inside the bowl type of situation, but you just won't have as many as you might have, like if you had 60,000 people roaming your property.
Well, Kerry, I know you got a lot of work to do. It's a busy time. That date is rapidly approaching, faster than any of us will believe. Sunday afternoon, May 17th, 3:30 start time at Darlington Raceway. What a place to come back.
Well, thanks, Woody. Appreciate everything you all do. We're glad that MRN is going to be here, and we look forward to putting on 3 great races here at Darlington Raceway. Thanks for having me.
There you go. Kerry Tharp, the president of Darlington Raceway.
Wherever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. You can count on Hercules Tires to have your back when times are tough, all while adding money to your pocket. The purchase of 4 qualifying Hercules tires through May 31st, 2020 could get you up to a $70 Visa prepaid card. Visit HerculesTire.com/spring rebate to learn more. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
That's all the time we've got on this edition of Crew Call, but we want to know how you're going to watch the races at Darlington. Be a part of America's tailgate party with the Motor Racing Network. Send us a video or a picture of your NASCAR party by tweeting us at MRN Radio and use the hashtag AskMRN. We may use your entry on a future edition of MRN Crew Call. Until next time, I'm Woody Cain.
MRN Crew Call was brought to you by Hercules Tires.